Welcome to Behind the Scenes with Music and the Spoken Word. I'm Derek Porter, and today we're glad to have Heidi Casson, stage manager for Music and the Spoken Word, here with us. Heidi, welcome. We are so glad to have you here on the show.
Glad to be here.
Now, you have such an incredible story, and we've had the opportunity of working together for the last year or so.
Yeah.
Both on the stage of Music and the Spoken Word, but also on the set as we've recorded some of these spoken word broadcasts. It's been an enjoyable time for me to get to see what you do and how you do it, and it seems to me incredibly challenging and busy and stressful, and it's amazing that you just are able to put all this together and help this show roll forward. So first, real quickly, describe for us, what is it that a stage manager does for Music and the Spoken Word, for all those who need to know?
We run the stage. We make sure that everything's in its place with a vast crew, and then execute cues during the course of the broadcast.
And how many times is that happening when you say execute cues? How many cues are there that you're calling or helping to execute?
It depends on the show. Mostly it's to cue the conductor, when to start, when the spoken word will take place, when to come out of the spoken word, and when everything is done, and you cue the organist also.
So you'll kind of, I watch you quietly tiptoe out. You have your headset on. You're out there on the stage, but the cameras purposely go somewhere else so that you're not seen. And then you're kind of raising your hand, and you're the one that's actually cueing the conductor to cue the choir and the orchestra to move
start
forward.
Right, which is the exact time it goes on air. So it's
down
done
to the second.
Yep. Yes.
And how do you have a watch? How is that? How are you watching that to
the
make sure
TV
that's
director
right?
tells us on headset
In your ear.
Yep.
So there's a TV director in a booth, sometimes in the building, but depending on where we are, he could even be remote. He or she could be remote.
Yes.
And then they're telling you go, and then you're signaling it visually.
Yes.
And then Mac or Ryan or the organist or whomever, even myself sometimes, if it's a live spoken word message, then take that as the cue to begin.
Yes.
It's pretty amazing how orchestrated that is and how important it is to have needlepoint perfection in what you're doing as well. So backing up for a moment, you've been here just coming on 20 years on the show. And as we were talking earlier, you've done the math and are probably fast approaching your 1,000th broadcast.
Yes.
Which is incredible to think about that. 1,000 Sunday mornings gathering on Temple Square, and I should say representing so many others over the years, hundreds and hundreds over the years, but each Sunday maybe just under 50 or so people that are gathered there backstage or around in the wings, helping this to go forward. You've been there 1,000 weeks. There's others that have been there even close to the same amount of time or even a few longer. I heard this week of one director who's just coming on 40 years of directing Music in the Spoken Word. We have engineer in charge that's just over 40 years, several cameramen that are right about 35 years or so.
Yes.
And that is just an incredible thing to think that there's people there with that kind of tenure. Why do you think it is that you and your colleagues keep coming back Sunday after Sunday to do this? And you would think you might get tired of that and say, wow, after 10 years, I'm done.
It's the live music, and it's the live part of it that's exciting for them. You know, there's a zero failure rate. Everything has to be perfect, and it has to be able to convey the music and the words that are needed to be conveyed. And they are people that are really just born to do live events. And you don't see that very often, even on the internet or any TV, what we do each Sunday.
So there's an energy, there's an adrenaline. I felt it as you sit there and you're counting down. I remember my first Sunday ever of presenting my first live Music in the Spoken Word, which was a general conference Sunday. And as those seconds, I could see the clock. As those seconds were dwindling down, I could feel the pressure begin to build to say, okay, I have 3 minutes and 8 seconds to deliver this message. I'm going to do my best not to stumble over any word, but I've got to end it on time, because if I don't, I think the entire broadcast that day, we had 5 seconds of wiggle room to end it in.
Yes.
So as you think about that, it's your job really to keep this thing on time and on track.
Yes.
And that is not simple, because there are days where we're behind.
Mm-hmm.
And what do you do when we're behind, but knowing we have to end on time because this is live television?
In the booth, there is a timer that sits behind the music director, and they have a clock that feeds the conductors, both Mac and Ryan, on their conductor stand. So right above their music, they will see that they are what we call plus or minus, that they're running long or that they're running short. And they're are phenomenal on hitting a point on a clock that they need to. And that's not an easy thing to do with a group of 450 people.
Yeah.
But they can do it week in and week out. It's pretty amazing.
So does that mean, I've seen the clock, does that mean if we're ahead, let's say by 10 seconds, will Mac conduct slower to end on time? Or if we're behind by 10 seconds, will he conduct a little bit faster?
We have a bit of a variable in the fact that the organ can buy us time, and the organ can sometimes
And
not
we call
buy-
that an organ pad, is that
Yep.
right? Because
Yeah.
it pads that.
And that's a huge feat to ask of the organist, but they can come in with an idea of maybe a 10-second interlude or what we call a pad or a 30-second pad, and you can tell them seconds before time, which again is another phenomenal feat as a musician to be able to hit that mark and be able to allow that leeway to Mac. Tempos are tempos. They're a bit non-flexible in their world, but they're remarkable on how to drive that train. Where you would know, you don't know the difference. Sometimes I'll look at a clock for one song that was at something on Thursday and it's different on Sunday, and you could be talking about 5 or 7 seconds, but
Which is a long time.
It is, but to an audience member, it's not any
right.
different. They know how to make it you can't tell.
Yeah. So there's a clock on the organ as well.
Yes.
And so will you motion to Richard or Andrew or some of these others and say we have less time today? Or how do they know to elongate it or shorten it?
They know by that clock.
So they're just watching the
sometimes-
clock.
Yeah. Sometimes if things are very off, you can go out while we roll what's called B-roll, which
Yeah.
could be pictures of streams or mountains. You can sneak out on stage and talk to them. That to me is incredibly nerve-wracking because, the organ is such a multifaceted tool. I'm afraid that, I'm going to whisper loud for the microphones or throw them off. But, they're almost like an airline pilot. They know what they're doing. And I've never seen too much throw any of them.
It's really incredible. And even just speaking in microphones, people might be interested to hear there is right around 100 microphones on that stage.
Yeah.
So you're right. A whisper, accidentally dropping music, anything can be picked up by those microphones.
Yeah.
And everyone can hear it at home where they are. So you think about, there's this old primary hymn of Saturday is a special day. It's a day we get ready for Sunday. For you, Thursday is a special day. It's a day you get ready for Sunday.
Yes.
What do your Thursdays look like, and how are you using that Thursday rehearsal time to prepare for the Sunday broadcast?
A lot of that revolves around time, making sure that you understand the possibilities, build in the pads, which are the savior of it, working with Mac and the producer and Ryan to make sure that you have every scenario possible that could go wrong so that Sunday's perfect.
And you do, it's called tape and time, right? Mm-hmm. And so you're taping and timing and recording and putting all of this on paper into a show notes, if you will.
Yes.
Those are distributed to all the various team members. You're all on headset communications together so that you can be, or many of you at least, so that you can be talking during. Is there a lot of chatter? Is there a lot of conversation happening during the broadcast?
Only for the cameras, really, because there are so many camera shots within the song.
How many camera people are, by the way, roughly?
8.
Eight different people working different cameras at different times.
And that's,
some of those robotics, some of those using remote control, some of those on the old style way on the shoulder, lugging those things around.
Yeah. And the director really does study those music tracks, so he can, the timing of a camera shot is even important. So if he's going to give a handheld camera shot something, it does match with the music, and that's another incredibly hard thing to do. A lot of these camera operators can shoot meetings, they can shoot sporting events, but they have to really be willing to feel the music to be successful at shooting that show.
Well, and watching them, I mean, they're burning some serious calories.
Mm-hmm.
Those camera operators with it on the shoulder, the handhelds, they are running up and down the loft, sometimes in and around choir members, up there behind Mac, holding the camera up. They're crouching. I've watched it makes sense that you talk about them being on communications because I've watched them hit the deck suddenly.
Yep.
And then the jib comes by. I mean, it actually seems like kind of a fun job. I could never do it, but it really seems like a fun thing to get to do.
And they have to be quiet while they
Right.
do all that. It takes an immense physicality to do that.
Yeah. I could only imagine. It's really incredible to see all of the work that goes into this, again, from people that you don't actually see on camera. But without them, none of this could ever happen. Without you and your colleagues, this show, through whether it be by television or radio, streaming through the internet, or even just plain old live in person, it just couldn't happen. So we honor you and your colleagues for what you do. It's really, really incredible. Now, the purpose of this show is to foster faith and to give people an opportunity to feel hope, to feel connection to God, to just feel that things are going to be okay. We can make it another day. How has this done that for you in the 20 years that you've been with us at Music in the Spoken Word?
Having that every Sunday morning is irreplaceable. You know, being able to go to work and hear that, I think that's as close to heaven, that music, is that we can get on earth. Just it kind of opens the window of which you, to get a preview of it, because it is done by perfection. It's done by people who are all in that room for the same reason. The majority of them missionaries for music. There really is nothing like it. And so to be able to come every Sunday it's been a blessing not only for me, but it's been for my family and been for my children to be able to watch that.
Tell us a little bit more about that.
It's hard to, it's never easy as a mother to leave your kids, but when they can go to the TV, particularly when they're younger, and see this music and see the perfection, and they've sat in countless rehearsals, bless their hearts, and to know what that does, not only for themselves, what it does for mom and dad and what it does for people, to be able to tell them where it goes now. The reach of the show has exploded. I remember reading a comment one time, saying somebody just commented from Berlin, somebody just commented from Bogota, and at any age, it's amazing to be able to see that. To be able to be part of it, a small part of it, is a blessing.
And it's never gotten old.
No.
Because every Sunday, I've only been there for about 52 weeks, but every Sunday I walk in and I still marvel.
Yeah.
And I still pinch myself, and I listen to those sounds, and I feel the feelings in my heart. And it's difficult to say, where else on earth can we get this? Yeah. There are a few other places, but where else on earth can the majority of the world come together for 30 minutes and feel those kind of feelings? What are some of the changes you've seen for the broadcast during these last 1,000 weeks?
That it goes more places. And that lies a lot in not only that, but YouTube, but distribution to TV stations too. You can be in any part of the world, and somebody could say, "Well, I can see that on Channel 2." Internet is a luxury still in some parts of the world, and for them to be able to say, "I can watch it on my phone, I can watch it at my grandmother's house," it's remarkable that it does go around the globe, and it's exploded in my 20 years.
And as you think about the people and the teams that you've worked with, for those that are on the camera, like the conductors and organists, who are some of those that you've worked with over these 1,000 weeks, and including maybe presidents of the choir, of the different people that you've had opportunity to work with?
I've worked with 3 conductors in 20 years, and they really are the best in the world at what they do. And it's a pinch yourself opportunity to be able to say, I was part of getting that music out. And the work and the prayer that they put into the music. The organist alone, you'll find them in the buildings. It's not an easy instrument to practice in the middle of the day if there's meetings or whatnot, and you'll run into them at all hours, and the hours that they put in to, that instrument, the organ, that's such a centerpiece to
I've been told as
music.
Many as 3 hours a day that they practice.
Yeah. Sitting on that bench, and they are really, the best in the world at what they do. Yeah.
So 3 conductors, and those 3 conductors would be Mac, of course, Craig Jessup.
Yes.
And prior to that?
Ryan Murphy's the third one.
And Ryan as the associate.
Yeah. Because Mac was the associate when I started with Craig.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what a wonderful trio. All 3 of those, this podcast is being dropped just after our 5,000 broadcast, but all 3 of those, of course, have participated in our recent 5,000th broadcast celebration as well, which is fun to get to be able to see them. Who comes to the broadcast? I've seen you bring guests to the broadcast. Just a few weeks ago, you brought nearly the entire cast of a major touring Broadway group that was here performing at the Eccles Theater, Who are some of the people you've brought over the years, and why do you invite them, and why do they come?
Anybody, including my family, that are not members of the church. And that was probably the third group of actors that have come into town that a friend of mine, who is their manager, brings over to them. And they come on early on a Sunday morning, when they proceed to then go back to their theater and do 2 shows. Amazing. And they just really love it. They love being able to come over and see it, and just have the music wash over them, which is very different than, say, a Broadway musical.
Right.
Yeah.
What's some of the feedback that you've heard from guests that you've brought, either your family or others?
This past week, the past group, they were very, very grateful. And I try not to kind of take that for granted, but then I think that when I thought about that, that really shoots to them as a paid performer, looking at these group of people that are there for their calling in their church. And they were really saying thank you to that. And they were still moved in tears when I walked down and saw them afterwards. To be able to have that much musicianship gathered in one place for that reason really touched
Without
them.
pay.
Touched them.
Right.
Yeah.
I saw you giving them a tour backstage afterwards and walking them through and showing some of the behind the scenes there, and they seemed riveted at watching how this production happens, because it really is unparalleled. Mm-hmm. Throughout the world, where you bring enough people together week after week after week, and the compensation is feelings of the Spirit. They're feelings from God that come. That is the compensation for most everyone there that comes. And even for those that it's a paid job, like for you, this is your job, it is very evident that compensation from heaven, of those blessings, of those feelings that come, that they're overwhelming.
Yes.
And that you get paid every Sunday.
Yes.
Every Sunday is payday.
Yes.
And maybe some Thursday nights too.
Yes. Yeah.
As I think about the importance of what you do, and as I've watched you on that headset, and you've got your phone out there and you're watching that and you're running down and you're saying 30 seconds and 10 seconds and you're doing this, there's an element of grace that I feel you and all of your colleagues have offered. I've never once seen it become about any one of you. And I really view you and your colleagues, again, who you're here representing today, as one of servant leadership. You're there to serve really God and deity by bringing forth this show, and it's not about you. Why do you do what you do every single week?
For those people that, whether they're tuning in by radio or not, it's always for me and so many people down there, that the world isn't that tough for that 30 minutes. They forget about their bills, their loved one that's sick, and they really are transported. It gives them a break from the world in more ways than one.
Just this past week, I read an experience from one of our viewers that wrote in and talked about his wife of nearly 60 years and how she has dementia and cancer. And it had just been a really hard 2 weeks. And he said, but at the end of the broadcast, I thought to myself, maybe these last 2 weeks weren't as bad as I thought.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what you're talking about there, is it lifts, it removes a bit of the burden that we feel. And sometimes people say, boy, it's a choir and it's an organ and it's instruments that aren't necessarily using the most synthesized, cool tones and sounds of the day that you might hear on popular radio. And yet it is. It actually is. These instruments, this music that is made, is perhaps of so much more value than some others that's out there, because of what it does, because of its transformative effect that it has upon us.
Yes.
Heidi, I want to talk for a minute. I believe that you joined the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints a little later in life. Tell us about that, if you're willing.
I was living in Las Vegas at the time, working for the first 2 years of Céline Dion show at Las Vegas. And
which sounds incredible, by the way.
It was an amazing experience.
Yeah.
And one of my coworkers met a gentleman and in turn got baptized into the church. And I did my best to be a good friend, but I was a little bit like, I'm not sure what that was about. And she left town, and when I house sat for her, the same people that had taken her through the lessons came and visited me. So about 3 months later, I was baptized into the church and I began that journey. But the couple coming over to visit me started me saying, well, maybe this is interesting. I remember visiting, or I was house sitting the local church with the minister. And for the first time in that faith that I had practiced, I went in to visit the minister. And I was telling him about how I felt inside, and there were tears in my eyes. And I'm still grateful to this day to that minister that said, there is nothing that I can do for you here. You need to walk around the corner to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, because they're the ones who have the answers for your questions. And if he had not done that, I probably would have just stayed the route of what I was doing. Wow. And so in the middle of Las Vegas, that was the best part. I mean, the job was fabulous, but that was really the best part of it.
Incredible. And how did that lead you here to doing what you're doing as a stage manager for music and the spoken word, and other important roles and responsibilities in media with the church as well? The
gentleman who baptized me, uncle, worked up at the conference center, and they hired me for a couple of choir shows part-time. And after that, a real job opened up, and I flew back to interview for it.
And you got it, and you've been here ever since.
Yeah.
It's really amazing. Thank you for sharing all of that. As we wrap up today, I'd like to ask you, what have you learned from the 1,000 episodes, nearly 1,000 episodes that you've been a part of?
The importance of it, the importance not only of what goes out as far as TV and YouTube, of watching people's reaction and having that experience with music and with words. And it's becoming really a necessity in the world, and the relief that it offers people. And that I think after so many shows, it's really only just begun on the reach that the show can have to people, which is, I think, exciting. I thought this morning I'd like to come back from my retirement home to watch the next kind of milestone that it has as a show.
Yeah. Well, the next milestone of the show, you will not be in a retirement home, but it will be our 100th anniversary of Music and the Spoken Word, of course, in 2029. And regardless of where you are, we'll make sure that we have a front row seat. And it might even be more fun to not have to be backstage working it. Have you ever watched a show, the entire broadcast, sitting and watching?
No.
You've only worked it.
Yeah.
Someday it will be interesting to have you there front and center.
I'll come be an audience member.
And getting to watch and see it. I don't know if you'll be able to do it or not. Do you think you could do that? Or would it be too, oh my gosh, are they going to make the mark?
Oh, no, I'd love to do it.
You think you could do it and be settled and not worried about all the moving pieces and parts?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Well, we'll make that happen. Heidi, thank you so much for being here today, for sharing your heart with us, for sharing your experiences, and again, for representing so many of our friends who are working behind the scenes to bring this broadcast forward to the world.
Thank you.